Welcome to the Real View podcast, where Ohio Realtors connect you to innovators and influencers, keeping you with the real view of real estate. Whether you're a broker, agent, first-time homebuyer, industry leader, or just happen to stumble upon our podcast today, you can expect to hear tips, tools, tricks, interesting information, and so much more from the experts in Ohio's real estate game. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Real View podcast. I'm your host, Allison Wiley. With me today is our special guest, Jacqueline Lovelace. She is a real estate coordinator in the real estate business programs at Columbus State Community College. Jacqueline, thanks so much for joining me. I'm happy to have you today.
Thank you for letting me be on the program. I'm so excited today.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you on. So much to talk about, and I'm going to get into what today's episode is all about in just a minute here. But first, I have to ask you our signature question, which is, what is the best view that you've ever seen?
The best view I've ever seen has been the Grand Canyon. As anyone who's ever seen the Grand Canyon, is amazing. I remember before I went, I had a friend from work who said she had been, and she was saying it was just like, it was glorious, right? And so I said, yeah, right. And so when I got there, it is amazing. I say pictures or cameras cannot even phantom what the eye can see about the Grand Canyon. God's great. It's just awesome.
Wow.
I love it. I would love to just live in the Grand Canyon if I could, but I know that's impossible, but that's the view. I'll never forget that for the rest of my life.
No, that's so true. And it almost makes you realize how small you are when you're looking at this giant, this giant canyon. And you're like, wow, the world is an amazing place.
Right. I remember we went down a trail at the Grand Canyon. We were supposed to go a mile down and come back up. And I got about a half a mile down and I looked over. I saw the vastness of the space and said, someone get me out of here.
Yeah.
And I got really, really anxious. So they had to take me back up, but it is amazing.
So cool.
Amazing.
So awesome. Yep. One of those special places, and how cool that it's, right in our country. It's pretty awesome that we have this massive, beautiful thing right in our backyard.
To travel the world is fantastic, but to see the Grand Canyon is amazing.
It's very, very special. Very cool. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I'm going to call you Jackie now, because we were chatting before we started recording, and I'm like, how do you want me to introduce you? I always like to make sure I say people's names right. So Jackie, is that okay? We're going to call you that moving forward. Is that all right?
That is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you and what you do. And before you get started on that, I got to give a little background on Columbus State and the partnership of the Ohio Association of Community Colleges, and partnership that the Association of Community Colleges has with Ohio Realtors. The association provides the pre-licensing classes that new agents need to enter the real estate profession and contribute to the brokerage's success. And it also is offered at very low tuition rate throughout the state. Jackie's on today to tell us a little bit about how you get your real estate license. And this is the number one hit on our website, is our how to get licensed page on our website. So it's Googled a lot. People, are looking on our website. It's our number one page. They want to know, how to make this happen. And you're here, Jackie. You're going to tell us all about it as your role, at Columbus State as a part of this partnership with the Ohio Association of Community Colleges. You're going to tell us, how does somebody do that? And I'm really excited about it because we've never done a podcast on this before. And as Ohio Realtors, we want, you to be a realtor. We want you to come and start your career out in real estate. It's an amazing profession and has so much to offer. And you're going to tell us all about that. And I'm so excited. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do at Columbus State.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the Ohio Association of Realtors to have that collaboration with the Columbus State and with all the community colleges in Ohio. It is so welcoming that they brought us in and, help us out, and give us information how we can grow our classes at our colleges. So I much appreciate it. For me personally, I've been a realtor for over 25 years.
That's awesome. I was
And
going to
so,
ask you, like, how did you get, if you got started in real estate or how did you, get to where you are today? So I love that.
yeah, so I've been a realtor for 25 years, but I also decided to take some detours too. And so I have a lot of mortgage lending also experience behind me,
Mm,
which really helps me in education at Columbus State. So,
yeah.
right. So I am the coordinator at the Columbus State, but I didn't start as the coordinator. I actually started as the adjunct in 2013. In 2014, became an annual contracted faculty. And in 2019, I'm a full-time instructor and coordinator. So I just don't coordinate the program. I
Ah.
also instruct the program.
So you
And so
are like the know all of real estate, right?
I'll say yes or no.
Yeah.
I do know a lot. I know a lot. And so education is my thing.
Hmm.
So I love to teach students, instruct students, even though I still do sell. So I am a realtor who teaches
Mm,
or a teacher who sells real estate.
I love
And
that.
so depending on who I'm talking to at that moment, but education is my passion. And so when I had the opportunity to teach at Columbus State, I took it. I loved it. And I get to meet so many of my competitors or people now, they're out there who compete
Hmm.
with me now as a
Hmm.
realtor, were
Yeah.
once my students. And so even though I get to meet them and they're gone on, I love to hear their stories. I love to hear how they're progressing, how they're becoming the best person they are in this profession. So yes, real estate at Columbus State has been best for me.
That's awesome. I love that. So break us down from, the very beginning. And I want to say you're probably at pretty much the beginning of this process, or at least, in the beginning stages of what it takes to become a realtor. So break it down for us, say it's me, Allison, and I'm thinking that this might be something that I want to pursue. Where do I go? How do I even go about getting started?
First thing I tell people I get a lot of new students or people who are inquiring also at Columbus State. And the first thing I tell them is, first of all, you got to reach inside you as a person to see if you have that skill, that interpersonal skill, that communication, that people person,
Mm-hmm.
okay, in you. So because if you are kind of closed in, it's not very helpful. So you have to, first of all, know who you are as a person. Now, that doesn't mean don't have to be an introvert or an extrovert. You can be both, but you have to realize that you're going to have to push yourself because real estate is all about sales, right? And
Mm-hmm.
marketing and advertising. So you have to know who you are as a person. And once you get that and say, hey, yeah, I'm a pretty good people person. I like to communicate, those kind of things. I say, hey, then are you ready to buckle down and study and buckle down and learn and buckle down and define and know words you've never known before? And then some students say, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready. Some are not. Because I tell my students also, this profession will change your life completely for the better if you work it the best. And so once we get past that, then we are talking about finding the best broker for them or the best brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
And once you find that best broker, that's still, you have to find out who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Because not every broker fits every agent. Okay. So, there's some brokers who have teams and you love working on teams. And there's some brokers who are just individuals and some have a lot of, I want to say, education, classes, sessions, everything to help you along. And there's some brokers who just set you out there and you're on your own, those kind of things. So you have to know who you are. Are you a self-starter? Do you need help? Do you need hands-on? Do you need hands holding? All those are important when you are selecting a broker.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get along your way as a real estate agent, you may need to say, I don't need this broker anymore because they've been very helpful in the past, but now I'm able to move on to better places. So that's what I first tell students. Then the next thing we talk about is selecting of the school. And of course, I'm going to call and say Columbus State's right the best place to go.
Have to, right? You have to.
I have to. But there's other places, and that is you have to be a good fit. But I like Columbus State, because not only are you taking classes, but you can also get credit hours and you can get your associate's degree in real estate. And that will take you far, because then you can go ahead and go on to other colleges and get your business degree used as a real estate associate's degree. So there's a lot of options that you get a certificate in a pre-licensing. You can get a professional certificate. You can get a broker's certificate that will help you go on if you want to get your broker's license. So we have all those opportunities at Columbus State. You have to select the school that's best for you and the time frame. Some of us are able to take 8 hours all day, and some institutions are able to help you along. Some need a longer time, like Columbus State. You can do it in 16 weeks, 8 weeks, but some you can do it in 3 days. So it just depends on who you are as a person.
This episode of The Real View is brought to you by the Ohio Association of Community Colleges. Ohio's network of community colleges provides accessible training that accommodates the busy lifestyles of aspiring real estate professionals at half the price of a traditional university. With convenient locations in every part of the state, as well as online options, Ohio's community colleges are your smart choice for pre-licensing education. For more details or to start the journey to a real estate career, visit the education page at ohiorealtors.org and then click on the pre-license course locations. That was going to be my question. What's the timeline, look like? If I was to start, today, what would that timeline look like to, eventually heading into that licensing stage to where you're going to actually get your license?
Well, it takes about 100, it takes 120 hours, right, to get your license. And sometimes you can do it very accelerated. People are able to do that. Individuals are able to do that. And then some people need a long time to do it. Like they want to take maybe 3 or 4 hours a week. So you need to know which one is best for you. I mean, there's classes we can do it in over a weekend, 120 hours, maybe over 2 weekends, maybe not one, but over 2 weekends. And now they have it where you can do it now all digital.
Oh, wow.
You can do it all online, because the state of Ohio, and I think 2016 said you can change it and now do things online, which has helped a lot of students get their license and still be able to work their full-time jobs. And, because I remember getting my license when I had got my license and that was in 19, blah, blah, blah. When I got my license, I remember we had to sit in classes. I was setting classes for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And there was 8-hour days. That's all they had. Now you're able to do it all at home. But you have to make sure as an individual, is that best for you? Are you that type of learner? Are you able just to read on your own and take the exams and take the tests all on your own? Or do you need some teacher or an instructor to help you along? So it still goes back to who are you as a person? And that's the primary thing. See, even throughout your whole real estate career, who are you as a person?
And knowing who you are, like you said, is so important, especially when you think about selling a home. Not only are you selling a home, but you're selling yourself. And we've mentioned it on this podcast before. The home is going to be, this and have this features and, have this much to offer. But like, who are our clients hiring? They're hiring you. And you need to be able to show off who you are and know who you are. And are there any certain characteristics that you've seen that make great realtors, or that you see in your students who go on and have really great success?
I think you have to be, because of fair housing, you have to be open to change, to people, get to know all types of people. You're not afraid to move out of your little, your new community, but to grow. That's the kind of person I see. I see a person who is a self-starter in class. I don't have to say, well, the exam is due next week. You already know what's due. You've gone ahead, you looked ahead, you read your book, you come in wanting to learn. And in real estate, that's the number one thing too, is you have to be able to want to learn continuously. Like we have to take continual education, but as a person, that's what you want to do. You always want to learn, you always want to grow. When I see students like that, that's really like, oh, wow, they're going to be really good. And I think learning, having the knowledge and having action goes way beyond having the book. believe it or not. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
being who you are is very important. Book knowledge is good because you got to have it because you got to be staying within the law. I don't have to say that. You got to know what the law is.
Yeah.
So you got to study that. But it is taking action and knowing who you are as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does the coursework look like? So I made the decision, I know what I want to do. I know this is what I want to pursue. I enroll. What does the coursework look like? What are some of the things that I'm going to learn in this pre-licensing time?
Well, the state of Ohio requires that you take 4 classes. And those 4 classes are real estate law, principle and practices, real estate finance, and real estate appraisal. Now, real estate law and principle and practices are 40 hours apiece. And then finance and appraisal are 20 hours apiece. The state of Ohio requires that you sit in those classes for 120 hours altogether. Now, some online institutions have it where you are timed as you go along. Some institutions have enough information or assignments or exams or tests that drawn up to get that 120 hours. So you have to make sure that you have those 4 classes. And once you pass those classes, then you're able to get a certificate from your institution. You can use that certificate to show the state of Ohio that you have completed those 4 classes.
And then that's when you would go on to receive the licensing then after those 4 classes are completed?
Well, after those 4 classes, then you really have to buckle down and study. I mean, we have to study, but you have to buckle down and study because now you have to take the Ohio Real Estate Licensing Salesperson exam. So it's not just passing those 4 classes or you have to now put all that information that you learned in those 4 classes, and the state of Ohio has a test or exam. The thing is I just took my broker's license last year.
Nice.
And so, right. Yay.
Congrats. Yeah.
Yeah. And I passed.
Yay.
I would not be telling you if I didn't. But anyway.
But you've been doing some of the studying that you're talking about yourself.
So
right?
That's why I tell students. So someone said the other day, said, hey, we knew you were going to pass because you teach it every day. I said, well, I don't take anything for granted. That's what I tell my students. Don't because you think you know everything that you learned in class, you're going to have to study for that exam. That exam is not easy. Now, some people can pass and do really great, and some of us have to really study. But I suggest all people who are going to take that exam is to study because it's not just knowing the definitions and knowing words. You have to know situations and scenarios on that exam. So they kind of not trick you, but they want to know that you know what the profession exists of, what kind of situations you get into that you need to know what real estate is or what is real property or what land is. So they don't just want to know you to know the definition. They want to know how you can use those words into certain situations.
You have to be able to explain it to your clients in a way that they understand, and you have to almost be able to live it. Not only, it's one thing, like you said, to memorize a definition and be able to answer a question on a test, but you have to know how to actually live it and help your clients along with it too. Because it can be, in real estate can be, a complicated transaction. It's probably one of the more complicated things in our lives that we'll deal with is real estate transactions. And it's a lot. It's complicated and you have to be able to know all of it.
It's absolutely. Even when you have the math, and be wonders, I know there was some people said, we don't even really need the real estate finance part. Oh, yes, you do. Because your client will not always be with the lender. Right. And so if you're able to answer questions about financing, it makes you what? More helpful, more professional, more knowledgeable. And honestly, as a real estate agent, people will say, hey, I'm going to use them again. And I'm going to refer them because they are so knowledgeable about all things real estate.
Yeah. And you never know what is going to happen in a transaction. I mean, it's so different. Every deal, I'm sure, is not the same. And you never know what can happen.
I've never had a real estate deal that was ever the same.
Yeah.
They have different, I always say a different fingerprint. Each one is different because why? The individuals are different.
Yep.
And even if you work with the same people, their transaction is still going to be different from the one they had previously.
Wow.
And to learn all that information it can be overwhelming at times, but that's why I'm sure you've heard this saying, how do you eat an elephant?
One
bite at a time.
Yep.
That's the same with real estate. You just take one little bit at a time. And I tell my students that I'm going to give you the foundation. Everything is going to build on top of each other. So if you don't get the foundation, just like a building, like a house, if I don't have the foundation correct, the house is going to lean and the house is going to fall into the basement. So you have to have that foundation right and so correct and level to make sure that the house will not fall down. So everything builds on top of everything in real estate.
Yeah. And every step in your process of becoming a realtor all works together to getting you to that end and of your goal of becoming a realtor, right? I mean, it all works together to get to your end goal, which is the real estate license. So you go through all of this, you get your coursework done, you hopefully pass your exam. How long is the exam? I know you mentioned it's not easy, to pass. Is it quite a big test? Are you in it for hours? What's that like?
It's about 3 hours. You have up to 3 hours to take it. It's 180 questions. There are two sides of that exam. That is the state portion, and then there is the national portion. Honestly, everybody studies the state. They study, because I got to know the Ohio because I'm working in Ohio. So but they kind of leave the national part. And that's where a lot of students or individuals don't do well. They don't fare well. So they have to make sure that you're evenly balancing out, taking both of those exams. I want to mention, first of all, before you take that exam, there's some things you have to do before you take the exam. So you have to make sure you have to select your broker, right? And you have to make sure that your broker is signing your application because you cannot take that exam without having a broker in mind. And they have to sign the application. You have to fill out all that information on the broker, salesperson's application. And there's two things on that they ask. And one is if you ever had a felony. And I have to say that because I have to tell that to my students because Ohio says we need to tell our students before they take these classes so they don't spend a lot of money, that if you have a felon, does not discount you from being a real estate agent, but it can hinder you. So you have to go to the state of Ohio, talk to someone there and tell them what kind of felon you had. They may excuse it. You can continue on, or things may have to be expunged. I've had students who had to expunge some of those things off their record. So I want to make sure people know that.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. So the brokerage step comes before you go ahead and do your test. What do you recommend? I know you mentioned a little bit about how to find the right fit for you, but it kind of has to be mutual, right? Like it has to be the right fit for the broker as well as the agent. Do you have any advice other than kind of what you've already mentioned on how to make that a good partnership or how you find the right one for you?
I suggest with individuals, what they should do is make sure they interview at least 3 or 4 brokers. I know we all would love to have agents in our brokerages, but I tell agents that they need to have a good fit, talk to several ones, see who you feel comfortable with, what they will provide. I hate the word commission split, but it's out there.
Needs to be mentioned, right?
Needs to be mentioned, need to be talked about.
Yeah.
What kind of educational benefits they have at the brokerage. If they have help, or they have classes to help you learn how to do contracts, how to write them, how to know all the laws, all kinds of things. That's what you need to do when you find a brokerage. And for brokers, they need to do the same thing because not every agent will fit your, what you want in your office or in your business. So they should be interviewing agents just as well. And if that person's fit, how long they've been in the business. I mean, what their communication styles are, things like, who they are they a people person? So it's not just as a individual interviewing the broker should also interview you. So you don't want the broker just shaking their head, yes, come on in. You want them to ask you questions too about you. It's just almost like a job interview.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Okay. So then we go through that process, we pass our exam, and then what from there?
Then once you pass that exam, you're not able to work in that brokerage. Yay. And we can't forget though, if you are going into a brokerage that is a member of Columbus Realtors or any real estate professional organization that's part of the National Association of Realtors, there are dues. Mm-hmm. And our dues were due on the 31st of December. And so they have to know that there's dues that have there. The MLS dues are due. You have your lockbox dues. So now they need to prepare for financially too, that there's going to be money that's coming out before you even make your first commission check, right? Before you sell your first home or your first investment property. So that's important to have money saved, mm-hmm. because now you may have to pay for your business cards. You may have advertising. You might want to send out some letters or postcards. All those is part of that finance. I have to also say that this is your business. You're not working, you're working under, but it's your business and you're working under a broker. He is sort of kind of your employee, but you have to know that I have to run this business like a business so I can make money.
Yep.
That's a priority. So a lot of people think they come in, they're going to work 8 to 5 and that's it. And then the money's just going to come and you get your check on Friday. There may be some brokerages like that, but most of us work on what? Commission. We're independent contractors.
Yep.
So
it only comes when you work for it, right? To count on that weekly or biweekly paycheck coming through. It's all about what you sell and what you're able to accomplish within your goals.
Absolutely. So I would tell everyone that to be prepared, have at least 3 to 4 months of income in your savings account. Some would say maybe you should not actually quit your full-time job and, just go slowly when you've made enough money in real estate that now you can quit your full-time job. Mm-hmm. Some people may need to go cold turkey, and that means quit that job, get that money, have that money saved, and then go out and pay and sell real estate full-time. And that way you are invested in it and you really have to work it because you have to pay your bills and your debts.
Yeah, you committed to it and know that there's not really, any backup plan there. So how does someone get started? I know that can they reach out to you or reach out to any school that they're interested in to get started, or what does that look like?
Absolutely. They can reach out to me. I'll give you it's all right for me to give my email address?
Yeah.
Okay. It's jlovelace5@cscc.edu. That's jlovelace5@cscc.edu. And that's at Columbus State. You can send me an email or you can just go straight to the registrar's office and apply to the college. And once you apply to the college, and then you can register for the classes. Yeah, it's just that simple. It's just that simple.
It really is, when you break it down in that way. And it sounds like from what you mentioned too, it can kind of be whatever time frame you want and need, right? Like you mentioned there's options on, how quickly or how long, you want to take to accomplish some of those things. And it's really kind of flexible and offers a lot, of wiggle room there to where you can really do it on your time with what works best for you.
Yeah, at Columbus State, you can take all 4 classes in 8 weeks and be done.
Yeah.
Or you can take all the 4 classes in 16 weeks and take 1 class at a time. You can take it 2 semesters. I've had students who've taken it long. They just wanted to do 1 class every semester. Then I've had students who take all 4 in 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. I warned them if they do 8 weeks, it's very accelerated. So you gotta be top of your game. You gotta be in your books every day, all day almost. But it's worth it. It's worth it. I love this career, this profession. I love what I do. I meet so many new people. Allison, I meet you and I've never met you before.
I was just thinking I should have had you into the office and we could have done this in person. I don't know what I was thinking. You're here. I do so many interviews with, out of town people and I'm like, hello, you're right here in Columbus. I should have just had you come on over and do it here.
And that is something because I got up this morning. I said, I got to get ready because I got to be out of the house by 1:30 because I got to be at OIR, by 2:00. And then I read your email. Oh, wow. I guess I don't have to come. I can just stay at home. But that's fine. That's fine. It's nice. I just love it that you get to meet so many people, so many cultures. Oh, it's just, you learn so much from people. Mm-hmm. It is amazing. This is the best. I hear my passion coming out.
I was just going to say, you can hear about it when you're talking. You can hear how excited you are about what you do. It's awesome.
It is the best career anyone can have.
Yeah.
It is. You have to work. You have to work hard. but it's the benefits and the return of it is amazing. I use just like the Grand Canyon. It's amazing how you can do so well if you just put a little effort into it.
Yeah. And it pays off. It's worth it. Like you said, you meet amazing people. We're in the business of people. We want to make, our clients' dreams come true. This is one of the biggest things that you can do in your life is buy or sell your home. And that's what we're doing, and and you help those people do it every day. And you can tell how passionate you are about it. I love talking to you. And what a great way to wrap it up. You brought it full circle back to the Grand Canyon. I love it. And, right. I love that you said you were a mortgage. You're involved in the mortgage business as well, because I want to do an episode on mortgage lending, and we might just have to have you back on and record in person at the OR headquarters here next time.
I may bring someone with me, but that's
okay. That's okay. We'll talk more, because it was so awesome to have you on. You did a great job. I love your passion. I love what you do for this industry and bringing that next generation of realtors up and sharing that knowledge in this world with them and really helping them. You are step one into helping them get started on their real estate career.
I have one thing to say.
Yeah.
Tell those who are going to be real estate agents, the more you know, the more you'll grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the business where you're always learning, you're always growing. That's why we have continuing education, our CE courses. I mean, that's our industry, right? It's always growing, always changing.
Always changing. Yeah. That's why you have to read.
Yes. Yeah. You got to make it a part of your daily life, whether you like it or not. Well, Jackie, this was so awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today and breaking down how to become a realtor, how to join our awesome world. To any of you guys listening or, interested in it, reach out to Jackie, reach out to your local community college. We would love to have you become an Ohio realtor. As Jackie said, it's an awesome profession, awesome industry to be in, so many benefits, and come join us, reach out, learn more. We would love to have you. Jackie, thanks so much for joining me today. This was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And to all of our listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you for listening to The Real View. That wraps up today's episode. You can keep up with the latest on the podcast at ohiorealtors.org/therealview and on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Have questions, comments, or suggestions? We want to hear from you. Email us at podcast@ohiorealtors.org. We'll see you next time.
This has been a Humble Pod production.